I lost over 75 pounds without cutting out a single food or spending hours in the gym, all by eating in a mild calorie deficit. But what is a calorie deficit and how do you find yours? That's exactly what we're gonna cover in this video. Before I get into it, if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I share realistic and sustainable weight loss tips that you're not gonna wanna miss. Let's get right into it. I wasted years on successfully trying to lose weight by doing every single quick fix and fad diet you can think of. I did keto, I did intermittent fasting, I did the caveman diet, I did 1200 calorie diets, I was over restricting. I had no idea how to lose weight. Then I finally figured it out and realized all you need to do to lose weight is eat in a calorie deficit. But what does this mean? I want you to think of calories as energy. All day, every day, your body uses energy to do things, right? You're breathing, you're walking around, all of that requires energy. Your body gets that energy from the calories you consume. So every day, all day, your body is burning calories. Even if you're just sitting and watching this video right now, you are still burning calories. Your body is still using energy to breathe, to watch, to move. You are burning calories. Your body gets these calories from the food that you consume. So all weight loss is just math. Let me break it down for you. Your calorie deficit number and how many calories you burn naturally throughout the day is determined by 5 things: your height, weight, age, gender, and activity level. If you consume exactly the amount of calories that you burn, the exact amount of energy that your body uses throughout the day, this is called a calorie maintenance, and this is how you stay your same weight. You're eating exactly how many calories as your body is burning throughout the day. That is a calorie maintenance. If you consume more calories than your body naturally burns throughout the day, if you consume more calories than the energy that you expend, this is called a calorie surplus, and this is how you gain weight. Your body will store the extra calories that you did not burn that day. Those stored calories that your body accumulates, that is how you gain weight. Now, here's the magic. If you eat slightly less calories than your body naturally burns throughout the day, this is called a calorie deficit, and this is how you lose weight. It does not matter what you eat. It does not matter when you eat. If you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. So if you've asked yourself, why am I not losing weight? The answer is you are not in a calorie deficit. Your body is not burning as many calories as you're consuming. Now that we know what a calorie deficit is, let's figure out how to find yours. There are a ton of people that recommend just doing some formulas based on what you want your goal weight to be and times that by a number. I don't think that's a good way to do it because that doesn't capture where you are now, and you don't want to be in too aggressive a calorie deficit. What I do is I just Google calorie calculator, and I've always used the one at calculator.net. It's what I've used for both my weight loss journeys, and it has worked fine. Keep in mind that no calculator is going to be 100% accurate. Every person is truly unique. Every single day you burn a little bit more calories or a little bit less, but a calorie calculator is a good way to get a good estimate of where you should be in order to be in a deficit. The very important thing here is you must be 100% accurate, especially when it comes to your activity level. So make sure you're being incredibly accurate and honest with yourself when you're filling out this information. But you're going to fill out this with your current information. So you're going to put in your current age, your gender, your height, which, you know, like, I'm kind of almost 5'7". I really think I am. Weight and your activity level. This is hard to estimate. There is a little example. If you scroll down a little bit, it tells you roughly what to think. This is where you want to play with it. If you've tried to figure out your calorie deficit and maybe after 2 or 3 weeks of consistently hitting that number, you're not seeing your weight change, recalculate this with a lower activity level. You probably chose one that's too high, but it is a little bit of trial and error. For my activity level, I usually am very active. I usually go on a run every day, and if not, I'm doing some sort of physical activity. So for me, I'm going to do daily exercise. Once you enter in all of your current information, just hit calculate, and it's going to take you to another screen that shows your calorie numbers. The very first number here is the calories I would need to eat to maintain your weight. This is your calorie maintenance. This is something really important. Losing weight takes a long time. You need to be in a sustainable calorie deficit in order to be able to stick to it for a long enough time to lose the weight. Do not choose a too aggressive number here. If you choose the number at the very bottom, extreme weight loss, that is not sustainable, and you may lose weight really, really fast, but you won't be able to stick to that long enough to see long-lasting results. Weight loss is slow, but the time will pass anyway. I promise you the best way to do it is to focus on being sustainable rather than trying to rush it. I tried rushing weight loss and wasted years yo-yo dieting and doing these really over-aggressive and restrictive things. And I could have saved myself years by doing it the slow way from the start. Do not choose too aggressive of a calorie deficit. I recommend choosing a number no more than 500 calories less than your maintenance. I also recommend choosing a range. I found it really hard to stick to just a certain number every single day. So for me, I would choose a number here between like 1,700 and 1,800 calories a day. That gives you a little bit more flexibility, and some days you'll be on the higher end, some days you'll be on the lower end, and I found that just really good to aim for. Once you figure out your calorie deficit to lose weight, all you need to do is start tracking and aiming to hit that number every single day. Just look at it like math. When I try to lose weight, I try to think about what was the most amount of food I can consume while still fitting in my calories, and I would think about spending spending my calories almost like spending money. Like, did I really want to spend 500 calories of my budget on 2 cookies, or did I want to spend 500 calories of my budget on a big bowl of pasta? Choose the pasta most times. Some days I wasn't really hungry and I wanted to spend the 500 calories on the cookies. Just think of it like math and like a budget. Don't put a morality on food. You can and should eat all foods while losing weight, and you will as long as you're in a calorie deficit. Here are a few key things that you need to keep in mind though. The scale is going to fluctuate. Even if you eat consistently perfectly in a calorie deficit every single day, this scale will still fluctuate. Some days it'll go up, some days it'll stall, some days it'll go down more than you think it will. That is completely normal. Your sleep, your hormones, your stress, how salty the food was, all of those affect your water weight and how your body is adjusting to. So rely on other things to reflect your progress. Rely on progress photos, or how are your clothes fitting, how are your energy levels, what are your other measurements. The scale is not the only data source to reflect a weight loss journey, so don't rely on it like that. Another tip that you can do, I personally did not do this, but I see a lot of people do it. You need to be in a calorie deficit consistently enough to lose weight, which means 6 to 7 days a week. Sometimes I ate over my deficit like once a week, once every other week, but you need to be consistent most of the time. Now, a lot of us on weekends, we could go to kids' parties or graduation parties or weddings, and maybe we want to eat a little bit more. So you can do what's called a zigzag method. What this is for 4 or 5 days during the week, you eat a little more of a restrictive of a calorie deficit, maybe closer to a 500 calorie deficit, maybe even 600. And then on the weekends, you have a much more mild calorie deficit of maybe only 100 calories to 200 calories. On calculator.net, there is, if you scroll down, there is an option to show a zigzag schedule if that's something you're interested in. So you can see like during the week, you eat a little bit more of a restrictive calorie deficit, and on the weekends, you eat more calories. So that way you can have that flexibility. If you do eat out on the weekends or find yourself wanting more calories on the weekends, you can still stay in your calorie deficit overall and have that flexibility. I did not pay attention to sugars or carbs or fats when I was losing weight, but I did pay attention to protein, and here's why you should too. Protein is what makes sure that you maintain and build muscle mass and you lose fat weight instead of muscle weight. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight, period. But if you're not eating enough protein, you're gonna lose muscle weight too, which is not what you want. So to make sure you actually lose fat weight, eat in a calorie deficit and make sure you're eating enough protein. Protein is really helpful too because it makes you feel full. So I recommend aiming to have most of your food have a good calorie to protein ratio. What this looks like is 10 calories for every 1 gram of protein. So if something has 250 calories, you want it to have at least 25 grams of protein. You do not have to be perfect here. So aim for consistency. Aim for most of your foods to have high protein, but you don't need all of them too. The key to losing weight is eating in a calorie deficit and understanding that weight loss takes a long time. And to last in a calorie deficit long enough to see the long-lasting weight loss results you want, you need it to be sustainable and you need to be consistent. And the best way to stay consistent is to keep it sustainable. I know it can be really tempting to want to rush a calorie deficit and eat in a really aggressive calorie deficit to lose weight faster, but that is often not sustainable, and it's gonna cause you, or at least it caused me, to binge, tell myself I ruined all my progress, spiral, start all again on Monday. Try the sustainable option this time. I promise it's worth it. I hope this helps, and let me know what you want to see next.